Mary Sue's was so shit that no one else repeated those stories, so they died out.
That's very possible, though. I mean, people would perpetuate stories that they preferred. You know, why would you tell a story you weren't interested in?
True.
Exactly. So all the stories about Odysseus coming home really quickly instead of taking 10 years, they all fucked off. And he just gets worse and worse until Odysseus is basically a dick who gets all his crew killed like at least twice, I think. He kills like 2 different crews or something.
Yeah.
Finally gets home and then
But
slaughters
technically,
everybody.
that was Poseidon, but yeah, he did kill his crew.
And then everybody in his castle gets killed as well. I mean, weren't good people, but still.
But they had it coming. You know,
Everybody did.
Yeah,
Except for
maybe not
Penelope.
the handmaidens, though. I mean, the handmaidens got killed too.
Yeah.
And then so he wouldn't get in trouble afterwards from the hordes of angry families that would surely come for him. They were like, "Hey, there's this thing over here for you to get now. Oh, time to leave home again, Odysseus. Bye." That's how it ends.
Odysseus, the most entertaining mass murderer in all fiction, and the cleverest. Hello and welcome to the QUACKCAST. I just gave everybody a moment of uncomfortable silence while I was testing the levels. This is QUACKCAST number 526. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Tance, Pit, and Baines.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
These people are all super special. Unlike me, they have to. They don't have to struggle for what they want. It just naturally comes to them because they're so freaking good. Each and every one, like Tance, Baines, Pitt, they're just naturally awesome. They look everyone just remarks on how great they look with their brilliant amethyst eyes and pink hair, and that marks them out as being the chief protagonists. They can master any skill better than the masters, and then they teach the masters. That's just how they are, because these people are Mary Sue's. They're all named Pandora. So these fantastic Mary Sue's, along with me, we're going to tell you about Mary Sue's, because Mary Sue's are always fun to talk about and ridicule. But before we get into that, I have to bring up the featured comic. QUACKCAST gave us a great little featured comic this week, which was called Hierarchy. So, Quai, what is Hierarchy?
Hello, this is QUACKCAST, and the feature I've selected for this week is Hierarchy by Chisel, and it is rated M for mature. Deep in the middle section of Platina is Los Endoxus. Here resides Ashley, a pink-haired fighting femme fatale who is unwilling to let others walk all over her, and she is unafraid to knock the wind out of anyone who comes too close. She is joined by her main partner in crime, LaShawn, who knows all about her secret transformation powers. Sitting at the top level of Platina is Lava Monta, where a red-haired boss and his team of demon-like henchmen silently wait and identify any troublemakers in the city. The art in this comic is purely digital and colored vibrantly. Each page is drawn in a full comic book layout. Enter Platina, meet the inhabitants, and read Hierarchy by Chisel, rated M.
And that was Quai telling us about Hierarchy. Okay, so next up, Gumwallace is going to tell us... No, Gumwallace is not going to tell us anything. I'm going to tell you about Gumwallace's theme for this week. It's called The Last Child of Gluttony, which is a pretty cool name for a comic. Last Child of Gluttony. That takes a brain. So, Last Child of Gluttony, the music is white lines flash past as your knee comes close to the road. Your bike roars as you lean into the curve. The road is a blur of speed lines. Red lights flash bright in front of you, tailing off behind as you whip past them. You're king of the road. No one can catch you. This music evokes speed, night, racing, roads, and heat. So take it away, Gumwallace, with Last Child of Gluttony. With Child of Gluttony. Well, sorry, Last Child of Gluttony. It's a comic by C.D. Malcolm 1. C.D. Malcolm 1, who's a pretty cool dude. He's been on Drunkduck for a long, long time. He's a good guy. He comments in the forum sometimes, and yeah, he's a participatory. Oh god, I can't say the word. He joins in. Turn myself into Porky Pig. All right, so we're talking Mary Sue. So Baines, you did a news post about this the other day, like offering to do some sort of like a competition, or just like people should create their own Mary Sues and just post them for fun, basically. Was that it?
Yeah, it was Hippie Van's idea way back in the day. Yeah. Those many years ago when she was here. It was a Mary Sue contest, so you sort of just do probably just a single panel or a single page. My submission was, I think, a one-page comic. And, just kind of create a Mary Sue, and you can sort of describe what they're like, or just show them, or do a little comic or whatever. Just kind of create your own little Mary Sue. We'll post it on the news posts, maybe next week or maybe the week after, if anyone cares to sue it up.
That would be groovy. I like deliberate Mary Sues. The Mary Sues that people normally do are not generally deliberate. They're foolish Mary Sues, inadvertent Mary Sues, or even like Mary Sues created by their own hubris or their own overprotectiveness, I would say. Like if you're looking at Mary Sues in movies, it often happens to characters that are protected for some reason. It's like this character has to succeed for social reasons or for other reasons. They have to be a role model. They have to succeed. So we can't let them fail. We can't let them be seen in a negative light in any single way. So that's why the character turns into a Mary Sue, because they're not allowed to fail, which is unfortunate, because characters should fail in order to be heroic, to be good protagonists, to be interesting, to be cool. They have to.
Yeah, it's like, obviously, I mean, people know what you mean, but it's like, obviously, it's not just they're not allowed to fail at the end of the story, because we want to do a heroic plot arc or a story arc that most movies are and most stories are. They're not even allowed to fail along the way.
Exactly.
You don't want them to look bad.
Like a hero a protagonist should never have a steady rise, like, 45-degree angle to the top. There's got to be like ups and downs, or not a parabolic rise either. There should be bumps and issues along the way. That makes for an interesting character. Mary Sue's aren't interesting because we can't empathize with the character who is always going to win, because they're always going to be better than everyone, the other characters, us. So why should we empathize with them?
Mm-hmm.
That's what writers miss.
That's really a thing. We want, quote unquote, for our favorite characters to fail, because it's so satisfying to see them pick themselves up and become better and rise above the situation that brought them down in the first place. It's a very satisfying thing, which you can't have if the character is just absolutely flawless from the beginning. So,
yeah, I mean, I think our instinct, though, when we have a character, especially when we're younger, more like a little kid or something, our instinct is to want our characters to succeed. I think we don't really want them to fail. We want them to succeed, but they have to fail in spite of what we want, in order for it to matter more when they do succeed, because they overcame this challenge.
and I have to say that there are certain situations where I absolutely understand having a Mary Sue, and you should totally have a Mary Sue. It's when you write fan fiction and it's a self-insert and it's self-indulgent and you do it for fun and you just want to live a fantasy and, go ahead, make it the Uber Mary Sue, make everything the way you like. I think that's legitimate fun and entertainment for the person making it, and perhaps whoever is along for that ride also. So I think that is, I don't think we should turn our noses up at the Mary Sue's, they have their purpose. They exist for a reason. The problem is when they package a Mary Sue as a non-Mary Sue. If you get if you get what I mean.
Yes.
The idea is to this is this grim, serious character where you are going to be rooting for them because the stakes are against them and blah, blah, blah. And then you have this super person barrel through everything and cut through every hurdle like it's made of butter. And so that is false advertising. It's like, for example, I'm thinking, I have talked very much about this pulp fiction thing that I grew up on, and it was about the occupation, and we had 3 kids that were like our 007 wrapped up into Superman, basically, kid that was also a spy, and he always did things perfect. No, actually, he didn't do things perfectly, but he always came through. So, and the Nazis always were idiots, and you had they were very much the patsy in the situation. But you read this for that. You didn't want to have super scares or root for the character and have like a heart attack watching him do certain things. You just wanted to have an entertainment where a bunch of kids made fools of Nazis, period. That's it. So you had Mary Sue's as your main characters. But even then, they also had some situations where they made mistakes and the Nazis won for a bit, for a very little bit. and then they lost like spectacularly. But what I'm trying to talk about to say is that if you see those characters in like objective terms, they were Mary Sue's, but they didn't try to pose as something different. They were the ones, they were the fantasy of the hero that comes to save us, and he beats all the odds. Period. That's the point. That's the point of the character. So you have a Mary Sue, but even then, even with that Mary Sue, there were some instances where things didn't go as planned. And then the Mary Sueism evolved into even more greatness. And you laugh.
I was thinking a while ago, I used to think of, say, Batman and Superman, superheroes, as being essentially Mary Sue's. But since then, I've learned a bit more about these characters, and I realized how ignorant I was to think that. Because even though these characters are special, they've got that, they look special, they wear amazing costumes, and they're really good at things, they're not Mary Sue's at all, because there's like 5 bazillion like stories, chapters about them failing, and things going wrong for them, and them even dying, and all sorts of horrible things happening to them, and their friends dying and stuff, and them not being able to save them. And it's like all these comics are about them failing and then winning in spite of that. So they're not Mary Sue's at all. I was totally focused on too much on the the super strength or the super ability and them looking special. But Mary Sue's are more than that. It's like that is only one part of being a Mary Sue. It's like we're talking about. It's like the failing and people not liking you and all that kind of stuff. That means they're not Mary Sue's, which makes them quite different from other characters.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think
that's the thing.
Oh, sorry.
Like extraordinary characters are great to tell stories about. So of course, like a person who's extraordinary in some way, in a lot of genres, your protagonist should be, at least in some kind of way, they should be amazing, or a standout or something. So yeah, that doesn't make a Mary Sue.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to not avoid. I mean, that's kind of the other side of the coin, where like a lot of writers, and I've done this too, will try to make their protagonist as bland and unextraordinary as possible. And that can be a mistake.
Yeah.
You end up with a boring protagonist
You
who nobody cares about.
You don't have to do that to avoid being a Mary Sue. You just have to have the character not being perfect at everything, which is the worst part. I think the whole, looking extraordinary, having extraordinary powers are just the superficial aspects of Mary Sue. That doesn't actually make a Mary Sue.
Mm.
It's
because it can be a characteristic. It's not necessarily.
You'd have a boring looking character was a Mary Sue. Like if they still wanted everything.
Totally.
And so perfect.
Bella, is it Bella from Twilight?
Oh.
Exactly. Classic. I was trying to think of a male Mary Sue because I know they exist, but
Harry Potter.
Pop culture is Harry Potter one. Oh, okay. Because I haven't read that, so I don't know.
In my opinion, like I know that these are shots fired and people will disagree, but I do think that he's a Mary Sue.
Okay.
In a very big manner.
Does tend to win quite easily and be better than his teachers at things. And
he basically learned, in my opinion, he learns nothing. 7 books. He learns nothing. He stumbles into success. He stumbles into success and he stumbles into winning. And basically, he's just super lucky. He's like Gaston the Duck in like Karl Barks duck stories. He like the very lucky duck that is the opposite to Donald Duck.
Oh, right.
He's basically that. The only difference is that he doesn't have the smug attitude, and he has some bullies that are bullying him unsuccessfully. Basically, like if you take away his abusive family, that yeah, okay, they are not really a big factor into his awesomeness. They don't stop him from doing anything, basically. They only make him look more awesome. And yeah, and in the end, like, I don't know, I mean, he basically stumbles into success in every way. Like, in all respects, the one person that deserved to be the main character would be Hermione more than him, because she has to learn, she has to adapt. She makes mistakes. She makes mistakes that she pays for. Like she gets turned into a hybrid cat person, and she gets petrified, and she has to grow into becoming a better person, a better witch, and so she works for what she gains. Harry is sort of like, oh, I'm the chosen one for some reason, for reasons. Like, I'm the chosen one because my mom died for me.
Yeah, that annoys me about a lot of fiction like that. There was this Academia, like Little Witch Academia, and this
I don't know.
it's an anime that was on Netflix, I think. And so this character is like, she really wants to be a witch. She really, and she's a human, and she hasn't got witchy powers or a witchy pedigree like all the other witches do, you know, because they've all got like family. But she wants to be it so bad, and I think her only downside is she has a lack of natural ability, natural power, but she's destined to be the greatest witch anyway and get the magic, the best magic wand, which she does. And the annoying thing about it is she keeps on succeeding in spite of being, she's meant to just be a normal human with no powers, but she keeps on succeeding anyway at every frickin' thing she does. And all the other girls are like, they study super hard and they try, and they're all like there's this other character who is like she's the best at everything, and she's sort of automatically the bully or the bad guy because of that. Because, she's Little Miss Perfect and everyone loves her, but she studies freaking hard in order to get there, So when she fails and, the Little Witch Academia girl wins, it's not very satisfying because she didn't do anything to earn her ability. But this other girl who did, she might be Little Miss Perfect, but she worked to get where she was. It's not a satisfying thing to have that. So yeah, that's another aspect of the Mary Sue, that you can't have proper bullies if your bullies, earn their place, and your character, your main character didn't. I was thinking of a male one though. Though this might be shots fired and ruffle feathers. Rick from Rick and Morty. If any of you've seen that TV show, which is very good. I mean, I like it. But I'll justify this by saying, Rick, who is this acerbic character that a lot of people love. Everyone loves Rick, even though he's an asshole. He knows everything. He's like Mr. MacGyver on steroids. He can fix anything. He knows everything. And he does seem to fail. Like, he does seem to make his family hate him, and he does seem, to get things wrong. But the meta story of it is that it turns out that all his failings were deliberate in order to make people love him. So, So he doesn't actually fail at all. Because at the end of the episode, they tend to undercut that and say, actually, this was all part of the plan. And when everything is part of the plan, that makes the character less interesting, because then you're no longer as invested when he does fail, because you're automatically thinking, oh, he meant to do that. Oh, this is all part of his plan. So it no longer becomes as compelling anymore, because none of it is real. And the stakes don't matter then, which is an interesting thing. So I would argue
It's also a very frustrating thing in the sense that super elaborate plans that need, in order to work, need everything to happen in a very specific way. And if that specific way happens, there is like no variation, nothing that throws a wrench into this plan, nothing. Everything has been super foreseen, and it happens. Like, that's not how stakes are built, I guess. I don't get me wrong, I can enjoy this. There are stories that I really like I think the Italian Job is one of those, and in terms of movies, and Ocean's 11 was okay, a fun. The original was a fun movie, but yeah, if you do it constantly and it's not the gimmick that your story sells, in the sense that you're going to watch an unrealistic, super elaborate heist or thing, that this is basically the character of the story. The character of the story is the elaborate plan, and everyone else, like each character is a trait of this elaborate plan. That is a story I can enjoy. What I cannot enjoy is a character that is so amazingly clairvoyant, basically, who can design these super elaborate plans, and they all pan out perfectly as they should every time. So like it's a nuance, I guess, but
Exactly that, and that's the Rick and Morty problem. Although I don't think all episodes are equal, but quite a lot of them do have that aspect to them. Elaborate plans where everything that seems to go wrong didn't actually go wrong because it was meant to, and he succeeds in the end. Like Pickle Rick is a good example of that. He gets accidentally turned into a pickle and has to try and find a way to make himself a human again. And it's a very elaborate, very entertaining episode. But every single thing that happens to him in that, his quest to become a human again is like, totally planned and no mistakes are made. And he totally succeeds and builds himself a cybertronic body out of rat guts and all this bizarre insect and rat guts. It's amazing. It's disgusting, but amazing to watch. And it doesn't fail for a second. So we can have male Mary Sues, and they can be very beloved characters. I think, like, instinctively, when something's being a Mary Sue, when it's just too good. And it starts to lose your empathy, or you start to lose some of your, involvement, submersion, immersion with that character and that story.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's how I would notice it first, would be just noticing my own non-interest. I'm like, I don't care what's going on. Why is that? And then you can sort of trace it back and say, oh, okay. There's something wrong with this character.
Yes. That's it. And it's not just focusing on the superficial, like we're saying. It's not like going, oh, yes, this character's got the pink hair. I'm going to not care about it, or I'm going to start whining and complaining about
like
it being a Mary Sue. Or, or this character is a woman, so I must examine her closely because women are always Mary Sues and can't be taken seriously. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's just when we start not to feel for the story for some reason. Because
I also think that I think that you can get away with a Mary Sue if you play it right. Because I'm thinking of John Wick, and I love those movies, all of them. And John Wick, I would say, plausibly, is a Mary Sue. Like he is super perfect as an assassin. He is a one-man army. He knows all the weapons. He drives all the things. He probably flies all the things as well. I don't know. And like there's nothing he can't do as he is on his revenge trip. And still he's so entertaining, and you root for him because you know that he's going to do everything perfectly. And that's exactly what you want to see. So you don't want to see him fail. You don't need him to see him fail in a sense. And I think that is like the construction of the story is such where you need the character to be a Mary Sue for the story to work, because they build him up like this in the beginning. Like when he gets his like spoilers, his puppy killed and his car stolen, the way the bad guys react when they realize whose dog it was and whose car it was, they immediately get like, oh my God, like, and anyone who hears his name, before you have seen him do anything, acts like they just, kicked the devil's balls, and they are just now waiting for his wrath to be unleashed. So when you build it like that, then the audience waits to see that. You want to see him be this awesome force of nature, basically, that sweeps away all the bad guys. So I do think that Mary Sue can work now that I'm thinking about it, if the story is set up for a Mary Sue, like you do it on purpose, in a sense.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, it's a close run thing, because I did find John Wick just a little bit off to me. Although, he does get physically injured. But he's going to win.
It's just something that will make him more awesome.
Another character, Neo, maybe, from The Matrix. I mean, he has a rough start in the beginning, but he becomes a bit of a Mary Sue, I think, because he becomes, well, I mean, obviously he's like, realizes, hey, I'm the one, I can see the code in the real world, but he... Yeah, eventually. So it's not a straight line to success. It's a bit of a crooked, dodgy thing. But I don't know. He does seem to feel that way, especially in the sequels.
Yeah. So that's an awesome example in the sense that I think in the first movie he is not a Mary Sue, although he is the one.
Yeah.
Because he has to work a lot to get to that point where he becomes the one. And it's only in the final 5 minutes of the movie. Up until then, he gets through stages of evolving into the one, but he fails he causes people to die, basically, or he causes people to get captured. He messes up. He doesn't really know much of anything. He needs to be taught. He has to work for it. He cannot work in the Matrix. He fails his first tests that would prove that he's the one, and he completely fails those, causing people to disbelieve in him, all that sort of things. So in the first movie, he is not a Merisu, but in the second movie and in the third movie, yeah, he's. and it shows the plot suffers for it. I think, well, the plot suffers from a lot of things, but Neo doesn't help. So
yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't make the film a success that it should have been. Yeah, I think that might be a good example.
And then you have like a Spitface mentioned in the comments here. We have like Bugs Bunny. He is a Merisu. And and also, Pink Panther in that same vein. He also is a Merisu, like in a sense.
The cartoon?
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the episodes, but yeah.
He basically is like he's like Bugs Bunny.
But silent. Right. He doesn't say anything. The Inspector Clouseau is always messing up. It's hard to remember because those are freaking old, those cartoons, but yeah, that's true. Bugs Bunny, yeah. When you're a little, when I was a real little kid, he was one of my favorite characters. But when I grew up, I realized, oh God, Bugs Bunny is just horrible. He's a dick, and he always wins no matter what, and that makes him very uncompelling. Yeah. He's a Jerry Seinfeld. He's always winning. He's always on top, and that's not fun. And then I started to like Daffy Duck better because Daffy Duck is an asshole, but he's always messing up. He's always failing, which makes him more compelling as a character.
He always loses. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel for Daffy Duck.
Yeah, he's the George Costanza of the Looney Tunes world, and I love him for that. Whereas, Bugs Bunny is smarmy and just always knows better and will never get defeated. I think he did in the really early cartoons, but Bugs Bunny was even nastier then. He was a very vindictive character in the really early cartoons.
Right.
And he evolved.
There was apparently a rule. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go on.
I was just going to say there was apparently a rule from Walt Disney that, this is semi-related to what we're talking about, that nothing bad or nothing like, there was like so many rules about Mickey Mouse, things that he couldn't do and that couldn't happen because I guess he was kind of a creator's pet. He was like either, I don't know if it was a branding, like an icon thing, or just like Walt Disney loved Mickey Mouse so much. But you couldn't do anything with the character that was remotely interesting.
Yeah.
And that caused the character to be not featured in anything, really. Because like, you couldn't do anything. Like, they couldn't write anything with him.
Yeah, because he hadn't been in anything good since Fantasia or whatever, Jack and the Giant Beanstalk, whatever he was in his early cartoons. And then Mickey Mouse.
I remember that. Mickey and the Beanstalk. That was great.
What was that? Yeah.
I said I remember that Mickey and the Beanstalk thing. That was vaguely. I remember it. I loved it.
But after that, as you say, it's the other characters, Goofy and Donald and all those took over. Especially Donald Duck, who was a crotchety old dick of a character. But I liked him. I mean, And then those characters like totally went away, and then they started using the Jungle Book characters for everything, and the other duck characters, you know, like Scrooge and Huey, Dewey, and Louie, I think, his nephews in DuckTales, I think.
Right.
You know, Baloo the bear from the Jungle Book is in everything for some reason. He's in DuckTales and the Robin Hood thing, and I don't know. He's everywhere. But yeah, that's a sidetrack. Yeah, Mickey became the Mary Sue, so they stopped using him. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's uncover more male Mary Sues, because there just aren't enough.
Would you guys consider Marty McFly to be a Mary Sue?
Oh, that's interesting.
Not really. Like, borderline, no, I would say.
No, I don't think so. He fails.
Snake Plissken, though.
Snake Plissken. Yeah. Your action hero type. Yeah.
Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off is.
Yeah, I think I've read
Sue.
about him being. Yeah, people have called him a Mary Sue, actually.
Because nothing he attempts goes wrong, and everybody loves him for no reason, except the principal. The principal doesn't love him, but the principal is beaten by him very easily.
He's doomed to lose, and Ferris Bueller doesn't even know he's an enemy.
Oh, I got one. Dennis the Menace.
Ah, yes.
The American version or
Probably
the British version? Oh, the American one.
I don't know. I only know one.
He's short and he's got blonde hair and he hates Mr. Wilson. So that's the American one. Yeah.
Okay, I have the American version.
Interesting. Yeah, he tends to win a lot. Well, all the time. And Mr. Wilson
Without any
is
effort.
terrible. Yeah.
He learns nothing.
Yes, learns nothing. Whereas the British Dennis the Menace is the opposite. At least in the original stories from the Beano or whatever they were. He would end up getting spanked painfully by the neighbour with a slipper. And that was the thing he hated. He always gets spanked. He'd get punished by his dad, the neighbour, the principal. Everybody would spank him. So yeah, really good for foot fetishes.
Every
and
episode
spanking
would end with
fetishes.
a boy being beaten by various adults.
As all stories should. The ultimate end to any story: boys being beaten up.
Learning the lesson thing is important. I was going to say little Kevin from Home Alone, but not the case, because he's extraordinarily gifted beyond what he should be, but a lesson is learned.
Mm-hmm. And he fails. And he needs to
fails, to a degree, and like lessons are learned.
Oh.
He has to be saved in the climax of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was also going to bring up Wanda. I don't think Tens has seen it yet, as far as I know, WandaVision. But I wondered about her, like, as a potential Mary Sue, which she isn't, but she has powers way beyond almost all other characters. But you could never call her a Mary Sue because of the types of stories and because of how she suffers. And lessons are maybe learned or partly learned. I think she's still working on it through all her appearances. But
that's true.
It was a great way to handle a character that powerful without making her annoying at all, making her one of my favorite characters, the mother.
That is quite true, yeah. Wanda has a lot of issues to overcome even in the very end. It doesn't come easy to her, the success, which is a well-written character. Even though she has lots and lots of, she has massive superpowers and can bring back the dead and do all sorts of stuff, change her reality, it still doesn't mean she has a smooth road to success, which just good writing. Now, Mary Sue isn't about giving your character ultimate power.
Right. I mean, yeah, we've covered that already, but it's just such an easy trap to fall into with a powerful character. That I guess I just bring her up because she completely avoids that. The writers completely avoid that trap. So, pretty great.
That would be another interesting issue. Not issue, topic. Characters that should have been Mary Sue's, but they are not.
Well, yeah. So that falls like Superman and Batman, those kind of characters with their
Doctor Strange, I would say.
Doctor Strange, yes, great one. Controlling time, massive powers, flawed in the beginning, but he seems like a completely changed man. Pretty
Exactly. Who else? That should have been a Mary Sue, but didn't. MacGyver, I would say. Although he wins at the end of every episode and stuff, you feel worried that until the end of the episode he will probably go through hell. Like, okay, so this might not work that he's doing right now. Like, he gives you this, maybe not, I don't know, but he does get, like, he attempts things and things fail, and then he has to regroup and think of something else. So I would say that he's not Mary Sue. Yeah. Although he should.
Yeah. Even with all his skill,
he faces challenges. A character that isn't a Mary Sue originally, but is often portrayed as one because of bad writing, is Sherlock Holmes, I would say.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe in some of the early writing he can be Mary Sue, but he's in the original writing by Conan Doyle, he's a bit of an asshole. He is, he's a bit of an austere sort of person who is hard to relate to with other human beings, because he's a 19th century exemplar of someone who is a superhuman intellectual character. So he has superhuman intellectual powers, which is, a 19th century trope. But he has, failings of his own. He doesn't relate to other human beings very well. Socially he has some issues, especially his sidekick, Watson, who's a bit of a dick to all the time. Doesn't tell him his little plans until the very end of the damn thing. The guy who's with him and helping him, he doesn't inform him of, the plans, which is a trait of these.
I would easily buy a version of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm not sure that the original writing doesn't fit into that.
Yeah.
That he is a very high functioning in the spectrum person, like a savant in a sense.
Right.
Not in a sense, a savant, because he has this amazing capacity to pick out all the clues and, synthesize them properly together and so on and so forth. But he lacks social skills to a level that would suggest that maybe he's a very high functioning autistic person. And I would totally be for that with Sherlock Holmes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well then you can un-Mary Sue him, but I think he's more Mary Sue than not, because they do give him some social ability. Yeah, he's one. Another one in the same vein is the character you may or may not know, Raffles the Thief. So, this is I think these were written in the 19th century, at least they're set back then. So this is a character who's like the opposite end of this spectrum from Sherlock, in that, in that he's a thief rather than a good guy. So he's a master thief. He's so good at it. He's the best cricket player in the world. he's like, no one else can beat him. He could have been a pro cricket player if he wanted, but he just didn't want to. But he's so freaking good. He's better than everyone. He's better than G.W. Grace and Donald Bradman. I don't know who else. These stars you guys don't know about, but they are superstars of cricket. Raffles is the best, AJ Raffles. And he has a sidekick called Bunny Manders, who functions like Watson. You know, he chronicles Raffles' exploits. And Raffles never tells Bunny what the plan is until the very end. So Bunny gets in all sorts of scrapes and problems because this asshole doesn't tell him what was happening. But yeah, he's someone who always wins and whose plan always works out no matter what. I mean, maybe there are some times when his plan doesn't work and things mess up for him, but it's rare. More often than not, everything works out. And he's a Mary Sue because of that, I would say. Most of the time. Not in every story. I think it's possible to have a character that is Mary Sue a lot of the time, but not all the time. You know? Sherlock Holmes is a good example of that, as we just said. And Rick and Morty, you know, Rick is not always a Mary Sue, but I think he can be in times. And I think Raffles and Sherlock Holmes do fall into that category more often than not, or even sometimes. So I think it's valid enough to say that characters can be Mary Sues on occasion, even if they're not Mary Sues at every occasion. I mean, even Superman could be a Mary Sue if he was written badly.
For sure.
But I think he's not.
As could Batman.
What's that?
As could Batman.
Yeah, as could Batman. Well, because Batman more than Superman, I think, because Batman is written as planning everything in advance. So he's one of those kind of characters that everything falls into his plan. You thought you could get me with this, but I thought 10 steps ahead of you and already had this like anti device in my utility belt to defeat your thing. Because I knew it all along. So I think Batman could more easily fall into Mary Sue than Superman could. Because Superman just relies on his abilities and trying to think about ways to use his abilities in order to beat this, adversary. And a lot of the time he can't use certain abilities because the adversary's thought in advance and, stopped him from doing that. Like his super strength. Can't use your super strength because you're going to crush this person. Or you can't use your heat vision because there's, explosive gas around or whatever. There's kryptonite is going to take away this certain power from you, so you can't do that. So the writers know that he has these super abilities, and they're also smart enough to counter them, which is what writing's all about, isn't it, really?
Yeah. How about the Dread Pirate Roberts in The Princess Bride in the first act?
That's interesting.
Who defeats the greatest swordsman in the world, and then overpowers the super strong giant, and then outwits the genius.
Outwits the smartest man in the world, a Sicilian, where death is on the line.
Exactly.
You made a classic mistake. No.
I don't think it's Mary Sue because he...
No, I don't think so either, yeah.
Yeah, like he gets... Actually, he fails even before he gets almost completely dead. Like he has to deal with Fezzik, and he can't win. He fails first, and then he tricks him basically, and then so on and so forth. I don't think that he's a Mary Sue at all.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's sort of one of those could have been. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems like that. Like he has this trajectory. So he starts as Wesley the farm boy, spoilers, and so he's this little meek fellow, and then he becomes the Dread Pirate Roberts very quickly. So it's a meteoric rise, and he seems to be like he's climbing up this cliff. Oh my god, it's incredible. And then he gets to the top and beats the best swordsman in the world, and it's just wow. But then he fights Fezzik, and he can't beat him in the test of strength, so he has to trick him. So that's not a meteoric rise. He's not as strong as Fezzik. He's as good a swordsman as Inigo Montoya, but he's not as strong as Fezzik. And then when it comes to Vizzini, he does have a clever plan there.
He's got a Batman gambit sort of going on there, I guess.
Yeah.
He does.
I think that he's just he comes with skills that he has learned off camera, as he explains later, in the sense that it's not exactly meteoric, in the sense that we see him after time has passed. After quite a bit of time has passed, depending on how you see, how you see the.
Yeah, I think it's 5 years.
He prepared the skills earlier, as they do in the cooking show.
Yeah, and like that, the trick with the Sicilian is something that he has in his arsenal. Like, he doesn't think of this trick on the spot. He just has that in his arsenal as a general thing that he was taught and stuff. So it's just probably that the Sicilian wasn't as smart as he thought he was, which is how he's portrayed.
I mean, that's very true. Yeah, like super genius is only his claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah, and then he gets like when he's skilled enough to survive in the Forbidden Forest, but not unscathed, and then that he keeps burdening him until he actually gets captured and so on and so forth. So
yeah,
well, it takes a tumble down the hill towards the forest in the beginning. I mean, not in the beginning, but before he gets the
yelling as he wishes for Buttercup, who is like, she is a Mezu.
True enough. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor old
Everyone wants her. Although she is not royalty, she, like, the prince wants her, although he has no reason to want her.
Yeah, exactly. Why her if he just wants to? I guess because everyone loves her. He's going to use her Mary Sooness.
Yeah.
Yes,
She's there's no reason.
Beautiful. That's the plan. She's so beautiful that the people will love her, and she's so kind or whatever in mild manner.
She's such a Mary Sue that she's the perfect propaganda. That's the only thing.
Once the people all see her as my bride, they'll love her. Then she'll be my bride. Then she'll die. And spoiler alert, that's his plan. And then the war will be. Yeah, if it was just some random, that might not have the same.
It's a false flag war with the other nation. I can't remember it right now. But
I want to say Gilda. I love that movie.
Lauren
Gilder.
Gilda. Yeah. Gilda something. You're right. But but the prince doesn't love her though. That's the big thing. He like as we're saying, he doesn't fall for her charms. His dad does, but I think.
Yeah.
But the prince doesn't.
He doesn't love her, but he doesn't love her because he has no love for anyone.
Yeah.
So
just wants that war.
Yeah, he just wants that war, but he still chooses her for whatever reason. She is the perfect Mary Sue. Like, that's the Mary Sue right there. See? Everyone succumbs to her. Everyone. So.
It's a good. It's a really good film though, regardless. And I think it's a well.
So good.
It's a good film because nobody really, the story does not rely on Buttercup in any way. She's just the MacGuffin of the story. So
Yeah.
nobody cares if she's a Mary Sue or not.
Speaking of
Well, don't you
Buttercup,
drink that?
look at
cat?
that pussycat in pits.
Yeah. Drinking her coffee. Yeah.
Exactly. Maui, come back.
She inspected the coffee and found it liking. That's it.
Must have been. Yeah.
I thought she was going to take Pitt's place and start, joining in.
I was hoping, she'd just look into the camera.
She's just a busybody. You little Mary Sue, everyone loves you regardless. You don't have to do anything. Cats are Mary Sues. Cats are nature's Mary Sue. Well, we have talked for about an hour now, I think. So we could wrap it up.
Yes.
Wrap up the Mary Sues
Yes,
in
indeed.
pink wrapping paper with glittery sparkles that everyone will love regardless.
And the background of rose petals that shine.
Exactly.
And if you care to enter the Mary Sue presentation contest thing, of course it's a Mary Sue thing, so there is no contest. Everyone wins. Just PQ to me, Bane. And, you have a week or two.
Yes, make a Mary Sue, make the perfect character.
Yeah.
Do it.
Probably next Thursday will be the next Wednesday will be the deadline, say.
Make a boy Mary Sue. Or make whatever Mary Sue you want.
Either one, it doesn't matter.
I'm full of shit. Okay. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.